Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Northwest UFO Chasers Radio Broadcast, Part 9, brought to you by writer, author, researcher, producer Gregory M. Bowles. Tonight's episode, Enki. En means Lord, Kai means of the earth. And we've got evidence and pictures and secrets and espionage and all kinds of wonderful, strange, secret stuff to talk about. So stick with us. We'll be right back after the break. Hey, everybody. Man, it's good to be with you tonight. This is going to be a great one, man. I'm telling you. The United States Army basically contracted for some guys, some scientists, that were translators of Sumerian cuneiform text. There was 5 of them, and they sent them over to Iraq on a top secret mission to decipher these texts. And they got there, and there were these ancient Sumerian artifacts. There was this copper box, and they said there was these things glowing inside this copper box, and it was pretty interesting. And anyway, I'm going to give you the feed on that on this radio broadcast right after I conclude tonight. And you can listen to it and get back to me with your comments. I do want to go into what Enki is, an ancient Sumerian deity. And he basically was worshipped by the people in this Mesopotamian valley. And where we know of this city to be by the name of Eridu is where I am going. I'll just jump right into this. I'm going to tell you they have located what they believe to be plans for a spaceship, and this is a space center location, and we believe that some of these ancient Sumerian artifacts have writing to indicate that some of this may be true, that there may be evidence of this. And but I want to get back to 4 things that tie together, and that's this Enki, Eridu, and what I want to say is that the people of Nibiru that came from out in the solar system, we've all heard the stories of Nibiru. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is this Enki, it turns out the representation of the location from where they're from is the square of Pegasus. And the square of Pegasus, it's very interesting. What we find with the square of Pegasus is that there are, in Greek mythology, there are these bear designations. And there's a potential possibility that there's something strikingly similar to these Greek bear designations uncovered in these ancient Sumerian artifacts that they're keeping from us. But again, recently, and I want to point this out, that the picture of Enki shows that he actually has gills, and the stories that were translated in the cuneiform text talk about a superior godlike being coming to the planet again, wanting to mine for gold, and the first places they went to mine for gold was in the Persian Gulf. And these beings could actually breathe underwater. They had gills. But they got tired of doing it for themselves. Their small band, or a group of, I think it was 800 or 900 of them. But they got tired, and they talked amongst themselves, and they decided that they were going to genetically modify a species on the planet Earth to mine gold. And they talked about, in the cuneiform text, having this trouble with the human nature going one way and going the other with it, but creating the perfect being that was docile enough to go after the gold for them. And it turns out that, and here's the real kicker, recently spectroscopic analysis of HD 209458b, an extrasolar planet in this constellation, has provided the first evidence of atmospheric water. What I'm talking about here is in the Square of Pegasus constellation. It turns out, under analysis, that they found the first atmospheric evidence of water vapor beyond our solar system. It's not a coincidence, people, that this being Enki, an Anunnaki god, came to our planet, and we have evidence. And on his planet, he was capable of going in the water and going out of the water. In other words, amphibious. And so I just find it, and again, water vapor beyond the solar system while extrasolar planets orbiting the star HR 8799, also in Pegasus, are the first to be directly imaged by NASA JPL's super telescopes that are out there right now. Exactly. So let's look at where the Anunnaki are a group of Sumerian gods. And there is a tie of the Anunnaki as they appear in many creation myths, in Enuma and Elish, and the translated versions of magnifying Marduk. But these secret cuneiform translations really do go into the genetic modifications of man, and there is an effort by the military-industrial complex, black operations. They contract out, they make it top secret. They don't want to divulge this information to the public at large because it would upset the Christianity base in the United States, and they don't want to do that. Okay? So, that's why, but it turns out that these 5 scientists that were working on this project, deciphering these texts, had consciences. And 2 of them, I guess, they decided to release or copy this information, and then they skirted some of the Sumerian artifacts away, and they thought that things were going to go awry, so they put them in safes, and they put it all around the world. And now there's these fingered connections of release to secret entities, and it's a very sophisticated organization to include, Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. But there is here in the Northwest, WebBot is collecting data to indicate, as we move forward into 2012, that there is going to be some shifting, but the shifting is through the expansion and contraction of the planet, through natural spin rotations. They know it's looking like there have been shifts in time through the expansion of the globe. The continents just rapidly shifted, and there's these stories that indicate that ancient sailors were looking up into the night sky, and all of a sudden the square of Pegasus, the star system, if you will, rapidly jumped and went down over the horizon. And I want to give you an understanding and an indication that if we go back 7,000 years ago, or 5,000 BCE, they were experts at astrological technology, and they could understand and see through the precessional rotation of the Earth the star systems that we know to be the zodiac, and that works into that 26,000 year cyclical precessional rotation, which works into the calculations of the division of two linked sides of the Great Pyramid, which gives us the circumference and the radius of the Earth. And through modern day calculations, we're only not even off. It's actually pinpointing things exactly through a zero grid pattern of the Great Pyramid in locating specific channel locations, volcanic activity in fissures underneath the ocean waters that signify this expansion and contraction theory. And they used to count 360 days, and now we're 365.25 and increasing on the expansion of the Earth. And when it hiccups via solar flare activity and reduces, that's when we're going to have a shift, and we're going to see these stars go down across the sky, and we're going to feel earthquakes. But things are also going to get better. We can take advantage of some things that are going on. We're going to be taking advantage. I want to get into talking about some of the things that are going to be coming up that are extremely fascinating in nature. 2012, but learning how to meditate, how to control and expand our pineal glands. Somebody had asked me, about my pineal gland, and it is essential to understanding the endocrine glandular systems of the human body to enter in hyperdimensionally space travel. You can learn to high frequency resonate your pineal gland and enter hyperdimensionally space travel. And we're going to be completing a cycle of rotation by talking about astral projection, meditation. We're looking at things from a generalized perspective. We do not have all of the answers, okay? We do not pretend to have all of the answers. You, the audience, is helping us. I constantly talk about go to the website at northwestufochasers.com. Look for the companion timeline. If there's a gap in there and something needs to be filled in, let me know through Facebook and Twitter. It changes all the time. But you have to agree that when you look at the timeline, something strange occurred within that 100,000 year ago time period, dealing with another word, the Nephilim, which it turns out that the Anunnaki had relations with mortal women or female species of Homo sapien, and we have the Nephilim. And then we'll talk about how the Nephilim are related and interacted with the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. And so there's a lot coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's been great. Thanks for listening to me. Stay tuned for Northwest UFO Chasers radio broadcast part 10. And this will conclude this episode. Part 9, Enki.